Hey, what's up, guys? Shuckle King here, bringing you Week 5 for DPL Game of the Week. Apologies I wasn't able to get to a DPL Week 4. Maybe I'll do something solo. My partner in crime for last week was unable to do it, unfortunately, and I was also busy. Hopefully they'd be able to do it in the future. We'll see. I won't spoil any names. But for Week 5, we got a pretty special guest here. A DPL legend himself. Go introduce yourself.
What is up, my little Danos? Vepsis here, and quote-unquote a DPL legend himself who only showed up one time. And did pretty average that time around, but yeah, ever since the DPL, I've been kind of like more of a Wi-Fi player. But to be fair, I have transitioned to Wi-Fi even besides that quite a bit in Wi-Fi scene. But I'm excited to see these DPL games. I have been following this series, and it's been a while that I've seen this kind of gameplay. So I'm sure there's going to be some exciting sets and plays to be seen today.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, I guess if anyone doesn't know you, I'm sure most of the Wi-Fi people know you. Maybe Showdown don't know you as much. I think you're only in one season of DPL. So maybe for the newer people, you can say who you are. Obviously a Wi-Fi player, but also has some Showdown experience.
Yeah, so I've been playing Draft League as a whole, starting from Auras days and through entire Auras, and halfway through the Generation 7, I stick with Showdown. And mainly, my name may have been unknown, especially back then, very unknown, because I stuck with my friend community, and Automatic, specifically one of more well-known people from that community, who is the web draftleague.nl commissioner who runs it. And then I've been in the DPL, but I haven't really got myself really into the Showdowns scene and that side of the community too much. So for those that do not know me too well, throughout the latter half of Generation 7 and throughout the entire Gen 8, I've been focusing on being a Wi-Fi player, and I got to play Shaco King, for example, a few times in the leagues that we have shared. And I found my a comfortable level in that scenario, and I found success through there as well. And that's where I'm recently got, I guess, grown a little bit of my name, if you could call that, for Wi-Fi scene mostly. But I still do play Showdown, but mostly I am very heavily focused on doing Wi-Fi battles, and I have a channel for it as well.
Yes, definitely go check out Vepsis' channel. He does some great stuff out there for sure. Maybe the best Wi-Fi battler out there, honestly. Yeah, how was you did do a DPL 1 season, correct? How was that experience for you?
I think for me it may have been one of those experiences that I didn't give it a fair go, because I only tried it once, and the team that drafted me did spend quite a few bucks for it, but I feel bad that I didn't really deliver for them. But I think it's mostly that I was distant to my team at the time. I wasn't able to really dial in and really get into a point that I was really doing corporate work with my team as well. So I think there definitely would have been more to give if I gave it another go. And I think in a right environment, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more than I did. But it's a cool concept. I definitely I think the favorite part of DPL is that it does provide quite a high skill level challenge for yourself. You can learn a lot from those, either they are wins or losses. And that's kind of the one thing that kind of would like me try it another time, but we'll see if that happens or not. Maybe in Generation 9. I don't foresee myself doing it for the rest of this generation, because I'm trying to cool down with the leagues. But DPL as a whole is a really cool environment if you can get into a right position and get selected a right team where you feel comfortable with. Because you're not going to be challenged like that anywhere else, I think. At least what I've been able to tell. So in that regard, if you look for a challenge, DPL is definitely the place to be.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's very tough to get into. And honestly, it's almost kind of like knowing who the people are. And if you feel like you're a little bit more aloof from the greater community, then it might be a little harder to get into, too. I could definitely see that being the case. Yeah, I did the first 3 seasons of DPL. And I like not having the pressure of dealing with it. I mean, honestly, I've been doing more Smog on Premier League stuff, so That's kind of weird how it
That's
made
pretty
that
cool.
transition.
I haven't actually looked into those at all, but those do sound pretty intriguing as well.
Yeah, no, I've been playing Smog on NU Premier League and PU Premier League for Black and White, so that's actually been pretty fun. Maybe I'll post those battles on the channel. Maybe metagame people don't realize that is my expertise. But yeah, looking into this game, I guess we can maybe we pop into the game right now, and then we can talk about what we think the matchup is as we go forth. All right, so this is my matchup against Vepsis. I have Haba's side, and Vepsis has JCMshadow's side. So, looking at this matchup, Latios just looked like it went in. There's no fairy on the team, and the steel is Melmetal, and Melmetal's not the sturdiest steel type unless if it's like super specially defensive. And then I feel like I can take it on a lot better if it's like a not as attacking base set, even like Choice Banded. It's kind of annoying against my team because outside of Zapdos, I don't have a great switch into Melmetal. So yeah, I thought Latios was pretty good because I figured either Melmetal was going to be offensive or then specialty defensive and not really much of a threat. But like Draco Meteor could to a KO it, unless if he's like specially defensive, which is just crazy with choice specs as you see here. But other things I thought were pretty good. Zapdos just seemed like a pretty reliable mon in this matchup. And I guess Azumarill was okay. I mean, there's a Rotom Wash that always gets in the way of it. Like, it'd be pretty hard for me to belly drum sweep. I imagine Rotom Wash probably runs speed to make sure that like Azumarill won't outspeed. So that's not going to be great for me if I'm going to run like a belly drum Azumarill set. Maybe if I'm like Salikberry. I know Milan likes Salikberry Azumarill shoutouts, but otherwise it seems kind of tough to run this game. Things that are threatening on his side, it seems like a decent amount is pretty good against me. Blacephalon is very annoying to switch into. Now I have like Latios at outspeeds, and then like Scarf Zarude, I guess, or maybe a Scarf Nidoking, Sucker Punch Nidoking. Azumarill I have outs, but maybe even like a sub Blacephalon would be super annoying to take on. I just have to watch out for that if it's Scarfed. Then Latios went outspeed unless if I was Scarf Latios. And I was okay this game, but I didn't think it was the most optimal set this game. Other things that are annoying. Azelf's annoying. It can just U-turn on Zarude, and it's going to take a hit. I'd probably get to a KO'd by U-turn by Azelf. And I really don't have a great switch-in otherwise. Like, I imagine like U-turn plus like Fire Coverage for Excavalier plus Ice Beam and Psychic, like, that hits my team pretty well. I guess, like, Azumarill is kind of okay against that, but it really depends. If it's, like, Life Orb Azelf, then I'm not taking it on that well. So, that's annoying. Rotom Wash is just a pretty good pivot, especially on the Nidoking. If it's, like, an offensive Rotom Wash, and Nidoking, like, won't be able to kill in one hit, and then Rotom Wash is going to kill in return. I think even, like, no special attack investment Rotom Wash can kill Nidoking with a Hydro Pump, so not great there. Garchomp, it clicks Earthquake plus Stone Edge pretty well against my team. And then I guess you could have Scale Shot as like a third attacking move for the Latios, and then like Sword Stance. I could see like Sword Stance and then those 3 attacks. Like, that does pretty well against me. Maybe if you want Fire Coverage for Scavalier, I guess. Beware could probably take a +2 hit just because its physical bulk is pretty good. But yeah, otherwise, Garchomp is pretty problematic. Melmetal, the Zapdos takes it on, like, okay, but outside of that, not the great switches. I guess the Scavalier, too. If I'm, like, Rocky Helmet and Drill Run or Close Combat, that's, like, fine against it. Moltres Galar is okay. I think out of the 6 months, I don't think Roselia or Beware is going to come in this game. I think the other, like, 6 reliable ones are going to come. And I felt like I was a little issue building this team. There's, like, a lot of mons on Haba's team that, like, kind of do the same thing, like Beware, Escavalier, Golurk. They're all like pretty hard hitting and can take on a couple types fine, but they're all, even Azumarill, all are like slow physical breakers that are sitting around the same speed tier and don't provide momentum to get in the hard hitters on this team, like those 4 even. So it kind of seems weird. Like Nidoking would be nice to get more momentum to. Latios would be great to get more momentum into. So it seems tough. And I guess this team breaks down Fairy's okay, but there's no Fairy on the other team, so a lot of these mons kind of seem meh in their roles. Zarude is fine as a Choice Scarf user, and I guess Latios is too, but I wouldn't really run anything else Scarfed in this team. There's a lot of breakers, but not a lot of momentum. Not a lot of like defensive pivoting options, like outside of Zapdos, that you can run that reliably on this team. Or if like rest Azumarill, I guess, but I don't think that's its best set. So we got Latios here. Draco Meteor just nukes everything. Mystical Fire can 2-KO to Melmetal, and also hits like the Roselia and the Beware for fine damage. Azelf, Mystical Fire seems pretty okay. This game is like a backup option to click. Ice Beam in case it's like Haban, Garchomp. It could be like a bulky Garchomp set to like bait the Latios. I could see that being a possibility. I could also see it being Scarf, but I think it's a little less likely. Psychic, just like a strong stab move that's not resisted outside of like Moltres. Azelf probably gets 2-KO'd by Psychic by Latios. Zapdos, I have pretty physically defensive, and I actually have minimum speed to outslow the Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is just annoying, and not really a lot of mons want to take a hit from it. And the problem with this Zapdos set is I don't have boots, so if he gets rocks up, then both rocks are going to chip me down, and taking a hit from the Rotom Wash before I Volt Switch on it are not great combinations there. So I felt like I wanted something a little bit better to take on the Melmetal. It could be like a Subtoxic set, of course, even like Special Defensive, and that would be annoying, but I felt like this was like an okay compromise. If I could just keep momentum up this game, that should be fine. Defense allows me to take Melmetal hits like pretty decent. I should be able to outstall it, especially with Static, unless you get a lot of crits. And Special Defense would allow me to live a +1 Blacephalon hit after rocks. Azumarill, Choice Banded. This will add speed, like max speed Melmetal if it really came down to it. Maybe outspeeds Roselia too. Knockoff should probably 2-KO, or Knockoff and then in the future any like Play Rough should 2-KO to Roselia. Unless it's like physically defensive, might be annoying. Maybe Ice Punch is better here, but Knockoff seems like pretty good utility to hit everything. Yeah, I might switch that to Ice Punch, because I think I'm going to be clicking Play Rough a majority of the time, and Aqua Jet to pick off the Blacephalon, and then Superpower to hit the Melmetal. So Ice Punch would be there really to only hit the Roselia, and it's a pretty decent option at that, but really not a lot wants to switch into this. I guess outside of Melmetal, if I'm not clicking Superpower. And it's also a good way to revenge kill Blacephalon. Nidoking is here physical based with this set. Hopefully I outspeed Rotom with this set. I could see the Rotom just being max HP, max speed, outspeeding the Nidoking, and then just going for Hydro Pump and killing. I could see that being a possibility, but I should live a Hydro Pump from a non-offensive Rotom Wash, and then Poison Dab should 2-KO unless if he's physically defensive Rotom Wash. Earth Power does more damage in a Melmetal than Earthquake, and also hits the Beware for like good damage, borderline 2-KO depending on the bulk. Ice Punch will hit the Garchomp, and I'll kill it on a switch-in. I guess it also hits the Moltres harder, and Sucker Punch is there for the Blacephalon. The attack will actually allow me to kill Blacephalon. Zarude is here, Choice Scarf. Pretty straightforward, outspeeds +1 speed Garchomp. In close combat, it's here to hit the Moltres. All these other moves are pretty straightforward. We'll outspeed the Azelf. Hopefully I can kill that with a Darkest Lair or a U-turn. If it's Scarfed Azelf, kind of annoying against this team, but Nidoking, Sucker Punch, Azumarill, Aqua Jet should be okay measures against it. And this is going to be my lead Golurk. Get up rocks early. I'm jolly. Hopefully he doesn't expect that with the Rotom Wash, and Poltergeist might be able to 2-KO it. That'd be great. Or I find out if it's more physically defensive. I should also add speed like Roselia, maybe even speed creeping Adamant Golurk. I would add speed that, same with the Beware. So that would be cool. Even like a slow Rotom Wash. I think if I'm just max attack, Adamant, speed, I think Rotom Wash needs 4 speed EVs to speed tie. So if I'm jolly, he just might not go for the full outspeed Golurk. Maybe just runs enough speed for max speed Azumarill and doesn't consider the Golurk. I kind of doubt that to be a case, but it might be. And rocks are just good for a chip throughout this game. So, it's my team. I actually don't I'm not the greatest in this matchup. I'm not a big fan of it, but we'll see how it goes. So, what do you think of this matchup? Who do you think had an advantage?
It's tough to call in a way. Like if I look at things like Latios, which normally in Galar decks is really threatening Mon in itself, I do, in theory, have pretty good ways to deal with it. And something like a Guardstorm, which is probably like arguably like top 5 Mon in the metagame, even top 3 in some regard, depending on if Dragapult and Urshifu is allowed. I think it's right away a huge threat to the opposing side, like for your end, for example. So, like a setup scale shot can be pretty menacing. But
yeah, for sure.
I think the matchup as a whole, I think the lower tier mons from each side are like hard to be brought, and on this case, like you brought Golurk as the low tier one, but it's pretty threatening regardless. So I feel like the matchup as a whole, I would expect to be really offensive.
Oh yes.
And something like the setup threats that both sides have, I think if one of them are able to get it going, like a Sumaril, if it gets out of hand, Latios with the right setup could get out of hand. And for my end, something like Galamotris, which I know you've been trying now recently, could be something as well that could get out of hand. So I find it to be a very offensive matchup. I don't find one side to be necessarily a huge advantage. It's a matter of like which one of them has better execution for their setup win con.
Yeah, no, I guess that's a fair way to put it. I think, if anything, you have a slight advantage, like Blacephalon. There's ways to revenge kill Blacephalon, but it's like pretty threatening and outbeats everything outside of the Latios on the team. And if you just run Scarf, Blacephalon, like, I really don't have a great way to revenge kill it.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of like Azumarill, I guess. Yeah, but you were mentioning Garchomp. Yeah, I don't really have a great switch into Garchomp. Just pretty standard Garchomp with Stone Edge. Like, that hits my team pretty hard. Rotom Wash is tough to switch into. Melmetal, I don't really have a great resist. Maybe like Zapdos or Excavalier, but not great responses to it. And his Elf just outspeeds everything. So whatever Blacephalon doesn't outspeed, its Elf can outspeed. Even if it's like Scarf, would guaranteed outspeed everything on my team. So
yeah.
And like Haba's team, so I'm using Haba's side. Like, he just has like Azumarill, Beware, Excavalier, Golurk. They're all like slow, very physically offensive mons that like can kind of check things based on their typings, but generally don't want to be checking a lot of attacks too often. It just seems like a weird combination of 4 mons there.
Yeah, I do find that the Blacephalon definitely, like, right from the get-go is probably the hardest one for your end to swap into, because all the fire resists are relatively offensive, or Latios' case is weak to it.
Sure.
It's one of its tabs, so in that regard, it's definitely like a half matchup, but do we just jump into it and find out what we were able to come up with?
Yeah, let's see what we got.
Let's see.
Yeah, my first 5 were pretty easy to come with, and then it was like Beware, Scavalier, Golurk. I think all had their pluses and minuses. Yeah, I mean, there's Rotoms. Just annoying to
It's always the Rotom Watches a lead. I remember this was also like, I think you and Joey did one of the ones prior week.
And just let Rotom Watch.
Yeah.
Like, what do? I don't really have a great switch into this. Yeah, it's assumingly a decently speedy Rotom Wash with Will-O-Wisp, like, and like I don't have any clerics on my team, so like unless you're like any rest set, you just gotta like take it.
Yeah, there's like Will-O-Wisp is kind of like annoying because it can punish the one of the water resist being Sarud in the back. Granted, it could have jungle healing, but if it's like a choice set, it doesn't run it too often, and on this case, it doesn't want to swap into it. So it's kind of like, well, do you use like Latios, for example, as a swap in and hope that it doesn't click Volt Switch? Do you go into Zapdos on the Will-O-Wisp, or you just try to get this one in for free as you're doing it now?
Exactly.
And try to go from there.
Yeah. The switch-ins aren't the greatest. I guess Moltres, especially if you're Boots. It takes it okay. Borderline 3 a KO. Like, that's not the worst.
Sarud is definitely... I've been trying this in a fun Wi-Fi league that I'm doing, like, off, like, off from recording with my friends, and I found Zaru to be very fun mod, even though it lacks Knocko, which was the big thing about it. But like,
Yeah.
it's still a threat, and I think you got a chance to try the new PPA as well.
Zaru? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it for UDL. I think I got it with my early second round pick once when Zaru immediately came out, the generation.
Yeah.
And it got hacks every single game. So I didn't really get the full effect of what the mon actually does. But
That's true.
I mean, now it's pretty established. Like it definitely has like there's just some mons it really can't get through, and it seems like it's more than what you'd like it to be, even though it has like just really good stats.
Yeah.
Stats can't do everything necessarily. So this Blacephalon comes in, and I don't have a switch into this. So what do I do?
Yeah, like on that scenario, like I thought about you could be maybe non-choiced, but I feel like in this matchup that Zaru is like obviously without spoiling, I feel like it's gonna be choiced. As you do barely live that, which is not what I wanted to see, but
Yeah. It's
at least I'm still out of.
a choice Bax Blacephalon if I ever saw one. Does Zarude kill with like a U-turn or something? Probably not. It's 4 times resisted.
Yeah.
I have a lot of switch-ins actually here. Now do I know that it's specs. You can still save it, which is kind of annoying. I would have liked to have brought it into Rock Range, but I didn't want to miss Hurricane if I have it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's basically it. Like, I do have the option of preserving it at this point.
But you're not. Good. So big threat neutralized, but you got 5 more threats that I probably won't be able to handle. This Moltres is going to be annoying, and I don't know what I can... we could do this, I guess. Nah, that's pretty risky. That's fine. Agility. Oh, okay. Let's see what you got for this. Azumarill, like, yeah, you got to be scared of it.
To be scared of that, that sucks. Yeah. I was thinking like you're gonna just click player up there.
Yeah, that does a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Are you gonna outspeed me? Are you like a fast? Are you Choice Scarf Melmetal?
That would be really. That would be a really.
I think that was who. Someone ran that for. It was NPL. I think the last NPL season. I forget who was in it. I think they swept with Choice Scarf Melmetal. That's kind of annoying. I forget who it was. Yeah, Bazoomer will pick it up to kill, and now it's pretty free to click play rough the rest of the game, if I can get it in safely. Which, the thing is, like, I guess Latios is Baton Pass, but you're probably not running Baton Pass Latios a whole lot. You really have to rely on Zapdos plus a Rude to give you that momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. I guess in fairness, I could have used like Rotowas as a swapping on that, but based on how much you were doing there, I feel like that's like a banded Azumarill.
Yeah.
I have to worry about. Let's see. It's gonna do a lot.
Yeah, this is good.
Ideally, it takes you out. Cool.
Yep. Bring this in. Click X right now. Who's gonna die to the Stray here?
Yeah. It's fine.
We're
gonna dodge it anyways. What do you have? Surely you're not target pulse.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Oh, you think Moltres is gonna take this hit?
Come on, Monsters is relatively bulky.
Not that bulky. Come on. Okay.
Yeah, the Asumaro is definitely like in the theory, I could have brought something like a Roselia physically defensive to deal with it, but like it's so bad
I have
versus
Ice
the
Punch
rest
as the
thing.
fourth coverage move, so like, I mean,
Yeah.
unless if you brought Roselia, like it forced me to make the predictive, the switch in the Mill Metal versus the switch in the Roselia. Like, it could have been either way. How much?
Yeah.
Let's see how much this is gonna do.
It's doing a lot.
Man, I like that damage. I think I'm fine with this. Yeah, I figured a Pain Split would come out. I don't know if I would have killed or not, but I'm pretty sure this will kill. Nah, you definitely don't have to switch into Draco. I mean, not that you did before. I mean, missing is a switching.
That basically at that point I have to bank on a miss, but let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does Sumaru look like. I definitely feel like there's a lot of tools for my end to deal with, like having a lot of like faster threats. But the thing is, like Sumaru is such a threat with the Aqua Jet as well.
Yeah.
Check a lot of my stuff, and it's like bulky enough to take most of my hits.
Yeah, exactly. This Moltres is threatening though. This isn't my Zoomer. I'll take this hit.
I hope not. Or if I get or if I snag a confusion while at it.
That would be unfortunate. Ooh, it does.
Oh, sheesh.
Not bad.
Yeah, I took all of it.
Does my Latios kill with anything? I don't think it does. I guess outside of Draco. It'll kill with Draco, but I don't know if I want to give Azelf that opportunity to switch in. I think I kill.
Okay, Ice Punch on it.
Alright.
Ice Beam.
Is this gonna win? Is it like physical knockoff? I don't know what else would kill. Dark Pulse? It gets Dark Pulse, right? But yeah, I mean, we figured this was going to be a pretty offensive game, 20 turns or so. Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah, I am unfortunately choiced. I was choiced Cow.
Well, I was Sucker Punch. Nidoking in the back. I had to be with Azelf plus Cephalon.
Yeah, like the Azelf, I had a lot of like. I had a little headache to try to figure out what I like, because it could have been a suicide lead for Stealth Rocks, which could have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been sub 3 attacks, but I felt like in the matchup in itself, like some reason I thought like Scarf Latios could make sense just to check Sump at +1 speed.
Yeah, sure.
So like for my end, I try to find a mon that gives me the speed, but at that point, the way the game was going, and Nidoking being so healthy, it was a little rough to find a move to lock myself into.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's fair. And yeah, no, I didn't have any setup this game. Like, Latios specs just seem super free. Like, was it a special defensive Mill Metal? I think it was physically defensive, because I was kind of surprised it took the Azumarill hit.
No, I was actually a Southwest and like max speed F5s. Then I had like, so like I had some HP, just Mill Metal is just damn that damn bulky with HP and defense, and naturally that it takes it.
That's crazy. Yeah, so like that's a pretty decent. If it's special defensive though, then like especially if you're AV, then you're not like Subtoxer or something to beat like Zapdos, because I was Rocky Helmet, physically defensive.
Yeah.
Or like even like I considered like Swords Dance Excavalier, and like just being physically defensive with like Akaberry or something like that. There were options there. But yeah, no, it was just Focus Sash, Golurk as the lead, just to make sure it works up.
Yeah, no, I figure like once I saw the goal look and it was a little like that's 100% like a chess.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
you just brought a lot of like strong offense that don't require setup, which is kind of fair. Like maybe for my end, instead of having like SD skill set card, so maybe I should have focused on just being a 4 attackers. Or like as of maybe not being Scarf, but I feel like regardless, like going into this matchup, like a Sumaril would be one of the key modes I would watch out for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From the other side, and for my end, I do think like Calamotris, like all the time, once the Zapdos got worn down by the plus Syphilon and almost died to the overhit, like it opens up Calamotris quite a bit. And we saw that the Asumaril will not take +2 Hurricane unless it's like very SPDF.
Yeah, maybe even like max HP. I was debating a little bit with the set. I think I just ran enough speed, add speed like a Speedy Roselia or like a Melmetal or something like that.
Yeah, so it would come down to like what kind of bulk it would have to live that hit. Because I was pretty sure I was like modest, almost max special attack, so it still requires quite a bit of bulk to live that.
So it looks like, are they the same? Okay, so Haba brought a Scavalier except Golurk. And your 6 are the same.
Yeah, it looks pretty much the same. Almost like, honestly, they look in the same order as I put them in on the team. So I'm very curious to see like how close I actually got the sets, because I had a SD 3 attack Scotso with Yahtzee Berry. I had a Assault Vest Melmetal, somewhat physically defensive Roto with Will-O-Wisp, Choice Specs plus Syphilon, and then it was Boost Dual Dance, Calamotris, and Scarf herself. I can see the plus Syphilon and ourself definitely being a lot different, and maybe Moltres holding a weakness policy, but what I found with it is that then you need like remover with that, because I don't think it takes too many hits like with
like
rocks
from
being up to.
Yeah, because I think Zapdos, I don't think Zapdos would be more offensive this game. Especially like a Rotomosh just sitting there. I don't think you really do a ton to it. It could actually be offensive. Huh. I didn't really consider that, but I think Zapdos can definitely be more offensive. It just means you don't really have a great Melmetal switch in, but you have the Excavalier in the back, so maybe that's like the switch in there.
Yeah, with the Escavalier being there does open up the room for Zapdos being more offensive. Also in the matchup-wise, I first thought that it's like, alright, you're either there for Melmetal or you're there for Gala Moltres. But on this instance, Escavalier being there does more likely open up it to be like maybe more bulky offensive, because its dual stab is still pretty hard for the other side of the team to swap into.
For sure. Only rockers, Nidoking. I guess rocks aren't the most important, but I don't know if it's going to be Boots Blacephalon plus Boots Moltres, so it's nice to weaken those. Or if it's like a Sash on any of the mons, it's just nice to get that chip damage. Garchomp could run rocks, Azelf could run rocks.
Yeah, I feel like on this instance, like if, like especially from the side where they have Nidoking, I think for their end, I see it being a focus as lead with rocks if they're going to have one. Otherwise, I see it being like Sucker Punch 3 attacks, either like mixed, similar to what I think you probably had on the Nidoking, and then no hazards in general from their side.
Yeah, if it's like that set, it might be Scarf Latios to outspeed the Blacephalon, because I think you definitely want a Azumarill can revenge kill Blacephalon, but I think you want a secondary check. I don't know how reliable Scarf Zarudo's as a secondary check to zoom to a Blacephalon if it's like Choice Scarf itself. So
I think on the matchup-wise, speed tiers-wise, the Latios makes most sense because it covers the Garchomp and the plus Syphilon altogether, because plus Syphilon will not beat the Draco all too well, especially if you have any prior chip on it.
Exactly. Let's see what the leads are in this game. I imagine the Rotomosh is going to lead, but the Azelf leads. So I would imagine that it could be Scarf. You can't really tell from this. It could be like Rock's lead and guaranteeing them up. Because I don't know if Zapdos is going to run Defog in this game.
I think the Azelf could definitely be the rocker on this, like from the other side, why they're left with the Sarod. If this is Scarf, this is definitely here to cover both Azelf lead or the Roto Was lead, since the Roto Was, like we did our mock, is very free lead for the most part. So I think for the other side, leading with the Sarur was their way to kind of put themselves in a better position right away versus it.
And you probably also be Garchomp lead, unless it's like physically defensive Garchomp or something. But I would doubt that would come to this game. I think a more offensive set does a little bit more. So the Zarude is afraid of the L-Self, maybe predicting it to be Scarf and go for a U-turn. It probably does like 50% or so. So
if it's also, like a split. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so like if you want the Zarude to take on the Garchomp, like you don't want it to take a U-turn this early on.
Yeah, no, like if you say physical attacking ourselves, the U-turn does like somewhere close to 70% to offensive, Zarude, like it's doing a lot to it. And that's kind of why I went with physical set. If it's a special set, it's doing like around half-ish, like you were thinking more so. So if it was that case, like it's still something you probably want to keep a little bit higher health because it's your better way to, I guess, take one potential hit from Garchomp. Sure. You want it for Rotowas, which is a huge menace. So I think it was a fair play to just go into Zapdos and kind of see what this ourself is made of.
Yeah, and I guess if your sachets off, you might just go. I don't know if it's like Explosion. It definitely could be. You could just go for a knockoff or something on the Zapdos, and I imagine Zapdos just wants a slow Volt Switch to gain initiative. We can see. Okay, so it's gonna knock off the boots, and you probably go for a Volt Switch here. Okay, Thunderbolt, just to break any potential sash. I don't know based off that damage. How strong that Azelf is. It seems like a pretty decent amount, 28% to Zapdos.
It is decent, but at the same time, it's also hard to tell by not knowing necessarily yet how bulky this Zapdos is, because it could also be a case that it's physically defensive Zapdos with pressure to kind of like wear down double IO passes to be like pressure. Only 4 amount.
Yeah.
So like it's hard to tell from that, but I really like these couple of first turns for the team with the Azelf, because now you already have rocks up, you have already gotten rid of boots from Zapdos, which is pretty big. Yeah. Things like Galamoltres and Melmetal, as long as these rocks stay up, and if you have Explosion on this set,
I think on
like a focus set, like you go for it and take anything you can have on this.
And I think if you're Haba, I would just go for the Roost. You're predicting Explosion. Explosion probably doesn't kill. It looks like it's a roll, but it would be like a max roll for Azelf to kill. And then if you Roost here, then like you don't lose a whole lot from the Zapdos side. Okay, just go for Psychic. And that does pretty decent damage there. So he does predict the Explosion and goes for the Roost. I think that's a fine play. And at this point, I guess if you're Volt Switch, you might go for it now if you're Haba's side. But I don't know. I assume it's Boots, Zapdos, wearing down the double Iron Bashes from the Melmetal.
Yeah, I think on this case you may actually want to go for potentially another Roost, because you definitely do need this thing as healthy as possible to deal with the Fido Melmetal or Galamoltres, but we'll see, because the Psychic did only 41%.
Okay. Oh, goes for Thunderbolt. That's a cool play. I mean, I guess knowing it was going to live the hit. And I'm guessing it was Boots, Zapdos. Otherwise, if you took that Psychic and switched out and then switched back in, like, you're not really taking any hits. And I think Zapdos is too valuable.
Oh, the Boots got already knocked off.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So we knew what item it was, and it's not holding it. So in that regard, I was a little surprised that they went for hard attack.
Yeah.
But I guess at that point they were cutting their losses of like, well, if he's gonna Psychic me again, I just have to kill this, and maybe there's another opportunity to Roost up or keep it as a sack later on,
or
depending on what
the
opponent does next.
You just go into Zarude, I guess. I guess that's risky if the Azelf just goes for U-turn. But I mean, it's not gonna be Rock's U-turn Psychic knockoff. That seems like a weird start of this game.
Yeah, that. I wouldn't expect it to have U-turn at this point anymore.
Yeah. But gets a lot of damage on the Blacephalon. That's pretty good. The Nidoking's just switching. That kind of seems weird. Yeah, it dies to an overheat.
Yeah, it's a straight up dice like that. It's actually hard to tell depending on their bulk that this could still be just Scarf plus Blacephalon, because the overheat can still all go offensive Nidoking as far as I remember. Like for me, when I ran specs, it was more so giving opportunity to kill the Zapdos and do massive damage to others. But this doesn't necessarily, at least to me, tell yet if this is Joy Specs or Scarf yet. But
no, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if it's like no bulk, Nidoking overheat kills.
Yeah.
Like, could it be modded? I would doubt it be modded plus Cephalon, because I think you always want to outspeed the Zarude. And even like
I don't think with these. Yeah, there's too many things in like even if he would try to aggressive speed creep, there's not really enough speed tiers to go below Saru to make it think that with aggressive speed creeps you can afford modest. Like you have things like the Galamoltres, for example, that like speed tier comes way too close to the point that I don't think he can be modest with it.
Yeah. That's weird. It actually, maybe it is Specs plus Cephalon. I don't know why you would switch into Nidoking. Like, I guess maybe that. I don't even think the Zapdos is that valuable. It might be able to add speed to Melmetal, I guess, but like, yeah, man. Like, I guess you don't really. The switch into plus Cephalon aren't really that great, I guess.
Yeah, no, like regardless, he probably had to pick one, but I'm not sure if you should have given up on a whole Nidoking over Zapdos that already boots are gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And rocks are up. So like at that point I would rather just given up on the Zapdos kind of free swapping instead of like letting the Nidoking.
You really don't have a Melmetal switching. I mean, Zapdos really isn't. Well, no, you do. You have the Excavalier, so yeah, it just seems weird to give up on the Zapdos that early like that. I mean, unless he's really scared of the Moltres, which I guess is fair. But I just imagine you would just EV to Nidoking to live the hit. And maybe it was supposed to live a non-Specs hit, and didn't expect to be Specs.
It could have been a case that if they like expected to be not Specs, maybe they were trying to go for a Sucker Punch the turn after.
Yeah.
So try to be able to pick up the plus Cephalon off and still have Nidoking and Zapdos both as a sack. Like that probably is the most optimistic scenario they could have tried to go for.
Oh yeah, sure. This is kind of a weird scenario here. You could Aqua Jet. There's a lot of switch-ins. If you play rough, then the Melmetal comes in. If you like Superpower and Hard Predict, and the Blacephalon just sacks itself off and goes for Shadow Ball. Like there's just a lot of weird scenarios with this Azumarill. You might just click Aqua Jet and be safe. It's kind of a tough call. But it goes for Knockoff. Okay, so Knockoff was a good middle ground play that if he had the coverage. I didn't have Knockoff in my set, but Knockoff is good for this scenario.
Knockoff was very fair because like you still kill the plus Cephalon. If you cast the Melmetal on a swapping, you're most likely getting rid of a Southwest, which is really big for Latios then being open up. Yeah. Especially if it's like Specs like you had in Almog. So I think it was a very actually good for them to have. It's so I guess a little surprising knowing that there's a Roselia that you wouldn't pack Ice Punch, because I would imagine you have your triple stab with Aqua Jet including into it. So it most likely doesn't have the Ice Punch no longer, or maybe Super Bowl like you had.
Yeah, but, Roselia is also kind of tough to bring with all the raw physical threats that Haba had like in his low tiers. Like Roselia doesn't want to take him on that great. Maybe outside of like Zarude, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean Rotom just has a pretty free Volt Switch here, I'd imagine.
But unfortunately it doesn't manage to pick the kill, so it's going to be losing another item on this case, and now... Oh, okay, it's not going for that, it's a Resto Gesto set, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I guess it's a bulkier spread. 43% from Rotom. I guess that kind of seems like how much I would have expected it to do.
I think that looks pretty normal for like somewhat like max HP variant. I think this set is like clearly there.
It's actually like a decent amount of special defense on the Azumarill to take that little.
Yeah, so this is definitely a soft check, some sort of for Galamoltres, and that's why it's like was important to get it high health.
But then, if this is the special defensive check, then why would you not go into this instead of the Nidoking on the Blacephalon initially, unless if you're worried about like a trick, but I would doubt that would be the case.
Yeah, it's either that or maybe like worry about Spec Shadow Ball, I guess, on that point, which I'm not sure how much that would do, and also there's always a worry that if it goes for that move, it can get the Spedef drop. Yeah. So I guess in that regard, he was trying to like preserve this thing, because this thing may have to be the Galamortis check in the end, with Zapdos being already crippled.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely fair. Well, now this Melmetal gets a free switch in. Is the Zapdos switch in as a double? Okay, the Escavalier switches in, so it's probably like a Rocky Helmet set. And Blacephalon can just fire off whatever move it wants to go for. Overheat.
Yeah.
Wow. 47%.
Yeah, that does a lot. That definitely seems like a spec set to me. That's pretty big, because now, like, all of a sudden, Galamortis is being opened up even further, because now, like, if he wants to go for rest, you have to spend 2 turns guaranteed asleep.
Exactly.
Zapdos is already worn down. Zarude is basically walled by Galamortis unless you locked yourself into Rock Slide.
Yeah.
And then there are Latios and Escavalier that one of those doesn't like it, and the other thing is probably going to get worn down in the progress still as we follow through this battle. So Galamortis is opening up quite a bit by these turns.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's been happening.
Yeah, just like an agility, and it's not looking great. Maybe Excalibur probably takes a hit, but yeah.
Yeah, he might be able to take one, but it's not like doing a whole lot back to it unless it's very offensive.
Knockoff comes out. Yeah, that's fine. You're just accepting that the Azumarill's probably not going to really do anything the rest of this game. Like, unless if you have Aqua Jet in the back to still kind of check the Blacephalon, like, this is bait for the Melmetal. Garchomp can just kill it. Azelf just kills it. Like, it's not going to live a Hurricane. It probably lives a Fiery Wrath, but yeah, Azumarill's not going to do much at this rate.
Yeah, the only thing is, like, if the Galamortis is very worn down, maybe the Aqua Jet is able to finish it up, but as long as you have a Scarfo in the back, which I assume the Zarude or Latios could be on this case, as long as they are scarfed, the Azumarill doesn't really necessarily have the value, because you just preserve one of the Scarfers to deal with the Blacephalon, knowing that it's choice specs on this case.
Yeah, sure. So now the Garchomp comes in on the Zarude. I guess Moltres could have came out too. Yeah, I guess Garchomp is fine if it's like Poison Jab. Or maybe it's like defensive Rocky Helmet, and like if the Zarude goes for U-turn, it's going to get worn down even more for like make it even easier for Moltres to maybe sweep.
Yeah, on this case, I feel like it has to pack a Poison Jab for sure if it's going to be offensive, because the reason why I had it was that, like, Scale Shot drawing your defense, Zarude is going to do a lot back to you, so I'd rather have a move that can hit it harder and not lower your defense. So if it's offensive, I imagine something like Poison Jab coming out, but if it's a defensive Rocky Helmet, it's actually pretty annoying for this Zarude, because it's going to get worn down, and that opens up other things. And that could be still useful set for the Escavalier if it has to coming at any point. Because at this point, like, Galamortis just needs a little bit of chip on the Escavalier. So if this is the defensive Godsop, it might be actually better for him at this point.
Yeah, for sure. It could also be Fire Fang if he wanted something to hit the Escavalier a little harder, but Earthquake like hits it fine anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it even needs the Fire Fang for it. Okay. Yeah, that's not doing a whole lot.
Protective pads. Okay.
Okay, so it does go for the Scale Shot. That's interesting. But thankfully, on that case, when you say Darkest Lariat, it's not going to do a whole lot to Godsop, and that it took it pretty well. Like, it's only like 30%, and Zarude has a decent attack stat to go along with. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty defensive Garchomp. I don't think it's max defensive, but
yeah.
I mean, I had a scenario for UPBA playoffs having a Zarude against a Garchomp. And yeah, maybe it's like max HP Garchomp, something on the lines of that. Oh no, it's actually pretty defensive. I don't know if it's Rocky Helmet. Would Rocky Helmet show?
It wouldn't
protect the pads.
No, I think
I don't think it does.
Right away with the rough skin, it should tell that it's not taking the damage. But like, I feel like if it's a defensive set, I don't see another item that makes sense unless leftovers are popping off end of the turn, which they do.
Yeah.
So like, it was gonna be one of those two items.
Yeah, and now I mean, the Garchomp looks pretty decent itself too. Like, Azumarill's not going to take a hit. I guess Excavalier can kind of switch in because it's probably also the Melmetal check. Zapdos can't switch in because if it goes for a Ruse, then you're just going to die to an Earthquake. Latios, but I feel like Scale Shot is also pretty free here, so I don't even know what you do on Haba's side. I think you just
Yeah,
have to
I feel
shag
like
something.
the scale shot is probably the most free. Like if the Assumer comes in, yeah, like you block the scale shot, but afterwards you're probably gonna die to the earthquake. So like there's gonna be a scenario that Godsop is gonna just like force a lot of resources going down even further along, and there's still like a lot of things in the back that are relatively high health, and now this Excavator has to take potential damage
But he goes for
from this
protect.
Godsop.
That seems like a weird play, going for protect. I guess maybe didn't want to risk only getting 2 scale shot hits, and then like Darkest Lariat maybe killing.
Yeah, but
No, it
he
actually wouldn't kill because it gets because he ignores the defense shot. But I guess Power Whip would probably kill.
yeah, like if the Power Whip could have maybe killed, but it seems like an odd play because like you, if you run the skill shot, you just go for it and don't expect like 2 hits to go off. At least from my point of view, like you kind of have to just go for it. Like I would assume like 3 hits may have done enough already. And going for a protect, like you're giving a free swapping on this case, and not getting any damage on this point. And I feel like I got something like doesn't necessarily need the leftovers recovery on this case instead of just damaging something. Either it was that Sarud or the Escavalier now. Like I think damage would have been the better at that point to go
Either that,
for.
or you just switch out on the Zarud.
Yeah.
I don't know if you necessarily would risk the 2 scale shot hit because like you check the Latios fine if you can get a scale shot up in the future. You take the Zapdos probably fine. I assume it has something to hit the Zapdos. Azumarill's gonna die in an earthquake. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, but just seemed like a weird play. Not like it helps Haba a ton anyway. But I guess it gives him the option to make a double switch and bring in Rotom. And I guess you got to figure out. I guess the Melmetal's coming in here, right? I don't think you let the Rotom die, just because it just outspeeds the Azumarill. Will-O-Wisp the Escavalier.
Yeah, I definitely see. Like, I don't see Melmetal like having too much other purpose in the battle other than dealing with this Latios. Like the Azumarill is figured out already what it is.
Yeah.
The Escavalier is probably there to deal with the Melmetal in itself. Zapdos pretty much worn down. And like I don't see any other alternatives to play around this. And Rotom-Was is kind of like something that you don't really need to sack right away.
Yeah.
Like it still has some uses.
Oh sure.
So I would imagine the Melmetal just has to come in and take a hit.
Either that or you just sack off the Azelf. Like it's at 14%.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, like the Azelf will be the another. Like if you're gonna sack something, it's gonna be the Azelf. But that's not gonna be the case, which is a little surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised you keep the Azelf. Maybe it has fire coverage to take on a Escavalier. Otherwise, I don't really know why he would wouldn't just sack the Azelf. Yeah, Rotom seemed fine to take on Azumarill and Escavalier, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, because the other thing is like by keeping it alive Azelf in itself, like as long as this Latios is not scarf, like you do have Azelf to go into and go for a knockout, but since it doesn't to be physically attacking oriented, it's probably not gonna take it out.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna be able to kill anything from the back. Like Sarud is probably gonna take the Fire Blast well. And the Azumarill takes the hits pretty well. So it's kinda like it still doesn't seem like valuable enough for me to keep it over the Rotom-Was, but it does give him this Galamotsus opportunity to set up by this thing being at -2. So maybe this is something that regardless he was happy to get off.
Yeah, exactly. I guess. Yeah, I still think would I sacked the Azelf, but I think Rotom was fine. But yeah, now you get the Moltres in. It looks like you set up a nasty plot pretty freely. I don't think like a Zapdos electric move into Aqua Jet would kill. So it seems like you're sitting pretty with the Moltres right now.
Yeah.
Just
I think you're definitely good off just going for a nasty block, because that definitely should take out the Azumarill if they were to come in, and they do go for it.
And just
and it's like I see. Well, that's a very cool take on having the Encore on the Sarud. That's like a lot better scenario to have that over Rock Slide.
Oh yeah,
to deter the scenario. I really like that.
Because Nasty Power is free there, so yeah, that was actually a cool play. Maybe gives them a little bit more momentum. I still think Haba's still pretty far in the back here. But
yeah, they are still back, but they're kind of keeping themselves alive in this game now. Like that was somewhat a risky play to go into it, and I had to kind of make a hard call, thinking that they should go for Nasty Blood over Agility.
Yeah.
Because like if they went for agility instead, like this would have not worked. But like that was a good call from their behalf, like thinking that okay, which one is the more likely setup, and thankfully for them they got it right, and they are able to keep themselves a little bit in the game. But this Moltres is still gonna be an issue. Like there's gonna be more opportunities for it to try, and now he knows that this is in the back to deter the setup.
Oh yeah, for sure. You might just be forced to attack right away because the Rude can still switch in one more time.
Yeah.
You might tackle out the Ace Elf at this rate. You could also go in the Guard Chomp, or even Mill Metal probably takes a hit fine, but it just invites in the Escavalier.
Yeah, like at this point I would imagine something like Mill Metal works, I suppose, pretty well, because it's gonna take the hit well. The other option would have been sacking the Self and giving plus Siffle on the turn, because we know at this point it's not Scarf, we know it's protected pass. So that would have just given a free opportunity to pretty much probably click Shadow Ball for free, because it was the Ghost Resist and it was very low.
But I mean, you still have to assume Azumarill is Aqua Jet. So you get the kill, but I guess you go back and Mill Metal anyway. But as soon as Mill Metal can't do much to Escavalier, unless if it's like Iron Defense Body Press.
Yeah. Oh, but they do have Synthesis on it, which is...
And they have Body Press.
Good for getting a recovery, but it's not gonna be immediately nullified by that crit Body Press, which is...
Yeah.
It's a pretty unfortunate crit right there, because now they are in a very worse position than like prior.
Yeah, they're gonna force a Synthesis. But I guess Mill Metal can't go for Iron Defenses anyway, because Zarude's gonna just Encore. So, but I mean, you only have 7 more Synthesises. You're not gonna like get out of range of Mill Metal's Body Press.
Yeah.
That might be
like they can certainly try to see how much the neutral hit will take, but even double IO Bass is like keeping them to a pretty like honest about being able to recover or not, and on this case they cannot. They should choose just to go for Utah, which is gonna be a case that they're just gonna be having that as a sack to Stealth Rocks afterwards.
Okay, Body
now
Press
the Escalator has to take damage as well, and it's the Rocky Helmet.
Yeah, I imagine you go for Iron Defense here. Yeah, Escavalier could have Drill Run, which can crit. But I guess you kill with Body Press now. I guess I probably would have gone for a Drill Run there and just tope for a crit, because I think you assume it has to be Iron Defense if you have run Body Press with it.
Yeah, like leftovers like, and Body Press, like you right away think, oh, it's gonna be Iron Defense. Like it makes most sense on this regard to have that as the set.
Yeah, so that's gonna kill. Maybe it brings it in. If it specs Latios, it would bring it in range of a hit. I guess Latios Heat Wave. I don't know if that kills. Maybe just gonna Volt Switch. Sack something else off.
It could be that, or he's just trying to get the Thunderbolt off, to leave it to the point that something else finishes it off, or which on this case it would be Latios. So it might be a scenario that he has to just get as much as possible, and if they do have Volt Switch and go for it, they would just sack the Zarude and come in again. But regardless, they're losing something on this progress.
Yeah. Unless you just stay in with Zapdos and Roost continuously and hope for like a Para and just get lucky there.
Yeah, but even then, like they are running pressure, they don't even have static to really like go for that. So now they are just trying to PP stall, but like the moment it's gonna
work. Yeah, you see how much damage Body Press is doing.
Yeah, it's doing way too much. So they do have the Heat Wave, and now now they are able to nullify the Mill Metal, but this just means that the Zapdos became also sack. So half to the team that is left from the other side is basically a sack to Stealth Rocks, which is not really a great scenario at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, this is a free scale shot here. The Azumarill's not going to be living a hit if it switches in.
Yeah.
But
and in that scenario, it's going to reveal if the Latios is like Scarf, and if it has to be Scarf and go into it, it has to drop a Draco, which therefore opens up the Galamoltres to kind of go out and honestly win the game from at that point.
Yeah. So if it's not Scarf Latios, I think you're kind of forced to go into Azumarill here and make sure it doesn't get a speed boost.
Yeah.
We'll see. So Roost.
It's a interesting play. I'm not sure if you should be going for calling as a passive play going for a Roost, because this custom can get a little bit out of hand. Yeah. We don't know it's full set yet, and now they are like having to sack the Zarude to Stealth Rocks afterwards, preventing a second scale shot.
So that means that the Latios has to be Scarf.
Yeah, it just has to be at this point. Like either they are bluffing it or they just have to be. Like in the matchup in itself, it makes sense to be Scarf to me.
and I might have had it cut off the screen, but we can also Haba has like very little time left. He has like 5 and 10 seconds to make these moves at this rate. So maybe Timer's gonna win the game again. I think it's won like 3 or 4 games this season at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess at worst you have to like scare that it's Scarf, and it is Scarf, which is fine. I mean, Moltres just wins assuming that you don't get a crit from the Latios.
Yeah, like this should end the game, honestly. Like 1 agility and it's pretty much done.
Okay, nasty plot. I guess if you get a T-Ball para, you might lose.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Now, the other worry is right now that if the Aqua Jet is still having a chance to kill this thing, but to be fair, we haven't actually seen this F1. We have seen Knockoff and rest. We don't know for sure. Like, we are assuming that it has it, but
yeah,
if it doesn't, then it's definitely over.
I mean, does a zoom roll, like, if it's like max attack, a zoom roll, like that would kill.
Yeah, but we kind of saw from the spread that it has to be somewhat SPDF and max HP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't just agility on the Latios. Like, do you need the special attack boost?
I don't see it, because like if you hover on the Sumario, it's 41%.
Yeah.
After stealth rock, it's 29. It's definitely gonna die to one hit. You don't need the special attack. Like if you're outpacing the Latios is gonna put you in a range of Berserk, which gives you the +1 special attack.
Yeah.
So like the speed, like getting the speed up was way more valuable than the special attack.
Yeah, exactly. That just seems like a weird play. Unless it's like Air Slash Moltres, and maybe it wouldn't have killed from this range.
Yeah.
Or it could also be a bulkier Moltres. But yeah, Moltres wins this game. It's pretty close. I feel like it got closer to what it needed to be.
Yeah, no, like it looked like a very much a wrap earlier on. Like once the Zapdos got knocked off and got worn down, we saw the Nidoking going down to it. The Azumarill had to already use this Resto Chesto, and it was basically a sack.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Those things combining together, it was like already kind of looking like as long as this Moltres is the proper setup set that it turned out to be, it was going to find this opportunity to set up. The Sarur with Anko was a really cool tech, but it only deterred it to not happen at that point yet. Exactly. And it had to be a 50-50 call to get it right on that turn. Like it was bound to kind of happen regardless.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a cool game. These were actually like the top 2 teams. I think Haba was like 2-2, and Shadow is like 3-1 or something like that. So both pretty good records on teams that are like the top 2 so far this DPL season. So definitely a cool game, and definitely I was told this was a good one. So definitely lived up to the hype. Yeah,
and it was a very offensive game. In the end, it kind of had the similar value to it that in a mock game, that even though we didn't have the same sets, the similar mons kind of were the key factors here. Like the Galamoltres from my end, that even though it didn't win the game, it turned out to be the win, like most likely win con, and on the actual game it turned out to be the case.
Yeah.
And the only way to deal with it was like the Zapdos or the Azumarill. And I would almost call it, like, I guess a little biased, like maybe the banded bulky Azumarill was the better set instead of the set that they brought, but like it made sense for their end. It's just like in the battle in itself, it was so pressured because it had to take those hits, so it wasn't able to like do the job in the end.
Yeah, I mean, banded forces you to make predicts. So if you're not comfortable making a predicts, then maybe that was a little bit safer.
Yeah. And
even then, like, I would assume 2 superpowers would have killed that mill metal set, but it looked pretty physically defensive, so maybe not. No, it would have been. No, it's banded. That would definitely 2 a KO. I'm not too worried about that, because it wasn't Chopple or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is week 5. Thank you so much, Vepsis, for jumping on. I know it's late for you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to be here, and it's like it's an honor in a way, because I've seen like the big names that you've been able to lure in, and I'm like, oh, one of them. This is the only time I get to be one of them in some regard, but it's like it's enjoyable in that regard, and I'm happy that you invited me into this, and I'm looking forward to see the other guests that you're gonna be having for the later weeks. Oh,
for sure. And let me know down below who you think I should try to get on for future weeks. I've had some suggestions, some that I don't know if I'll be able to get on, we'll see, but yeah, I got a couple cool guests lined up for the rest of this.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you so much. Check out Vepsis' channel. His link is down below. And yeah, hopefully you'll see me next week. Hopefully I mean, I should have it up for the rest of the DPL schedule. It was just last week was a little one-off unfortunate circumstance there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, until next time, later guys.